Wolverines. Maybe that'll help them.
Pass right off tackle. We've got positive yardage. We've got green field.
The Wolverines. Maybe that'll help them. Wolverines. Maybe that'll help them.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to high school football on SNSN. Tonight's game pits the Griswold Wolverines taking on the Stonington Bears. Tonight's game is being brought to you by the Jewett City Savings Bank, Griswold Dental, SiracCT.org, Griswold Pride, Dish Car Sales of Franklin, and the Burns Agency. We are just about ready for kickoff. Now,
maybe that'll help
let's
them.
go up to the Griswold Pride broadcast
Pass
booth
right off
for
tackle.
the
We've got
start
positive
of
yardage.
tonight's
We've got
football
green
game.
field. Welcome, Connecticut high school football fans. We're coming to you live from the Griswold Pride broadcasting booth here at the Griswold Public Schools Griswold High School Stadium for this home opener between the Griswold Wolverines and the Stonington Bears. I'm Jon Hardin along with Ted Koziol and Mike Neville on the camera. Welcome, Ted. Welcome, Mike.
Good evening, John. Good evening, everyone.
All right. So, Ted, we're coming home. This is our first home game, home opener for the Wolverines, coming off that devastating loss against the Ledyard Colonels. And both teams coming in tonight, both Stonington and Griswold, are 0-1 coming into this game.
Yep, you're going to see a matchup tonight of two teams who traditionally run a double wing offense. As we were talking pregame, sometimes when you run the double wing yourself, you know how to stop it. And I think both Coach Wilcox and Coach Massengale have that same theory tonight coming into this game. And, Stonington lost a close one to Fitch last week. I think it was 13-7.
13-7, absolutely.
And Fitch scrimmaged St. Joe's, which is a powerhouse in the state of Connecticut. They scrimmaged them, I think it was about a week and a half or 2 weeks before the season. And it was right down to the wire with St. Joe's and Fitch. And that was their ones playing. So, Stonington losing by a score against Fitch, doesn't look like it bodes well for Griswold, but especially coming off a tough loss last week. I'm sure there was a lot of coaching going on this week. We talked about that, as a matter of fact, at the last game. So I would say that, Griswold's going to be prepared. And one thing that you're going to definitely get from this team is heart, hustle, and they're not going to give up. So anything can happen tonight.
Right, anything can happen, and hopefully things happen in Griswold's favor this week. Definitely one of the things that we noticed in last week's game is that even with the score as it was, 50-8, the Griswold bench and the players on the field never gave up. You could see that fire, you could see that passion in their play.
You got to remember, these kids they haven't played organized football in 2 years. Your freshmen on this team were seventh graders the last time they stepped on this field. And I think regardless of the outcome, everybody's happy to be here. Of course, everyone wants to win, but, hopefully Griswold can get over that first game kind of wow factor and put something together, some positives, and just keep progressing through the season.
No, absolutely. And I would like to bring Mike in here because during the Ledyard game, Mike was calling for the pass the entire game. And then right there in the fourth quarter, with our freshmen and JVs into the game, the only score that Griswold had was on an 18-yard pass to the end zone for the touchdown and then converted the two-point conversion. All three players on that play were all freshmen. So, Mike, what are you expecting to see in tonight's game? You want to see more of an air attack?
I'd like to see something a little bit different now. Maybe get the ball in the air a lot more, get some of the wide receivers involved, get the tight ends involved, and maybe put some points on the board early. I feel as if they do that, then we're going to see a very different football game.
Right, and going into tonight's game with the injury to Luke Cassidy last game, we have number 8, Chase Spurley, in at quarterback today. And he was the one that threw the 19-yard TD pass to Jacob Hamill for that touchdown pass. So, Ted, do you expect to see more of an air attack, or are they going to keep it on the ground? You had mentioned that both teams play a wing T, but playing a wing T offense probably means that you know how to defend against the wing T.
Yeah, I would either think. I think Griswold's going to go back to their traditional run and really try to execute some blocks and just try to grind the ball out. They've got an experienced line. They have some young backs. You have, Tyler Farwell being out. You lost your starting quarterback from last week and Luke Cassidy. You got, some younger players back there. I think one thing that I'm hoping that they do is kind of open it up a little bit from sideline to sideline, create a little bit more natural holes, and clear out some of those, linebackers out of the box and try something a little bit different. That's what I'm hoping. I'm sure you will see the pass at some point. How much you will out of a freshman is yet to be seen.
Well, right, and we had talked about it, last week pretty extensively, and we've already mentioned it this evening for tonight's game is the youth and inexperience on the Griswold team, and I'm sure the same is for Stonington. Looking across their roster, there's lots of 9s and 10s. I think going back to the 2019 Griswold team, you only have something like 3 returning lettermen.
Yeah, there's not a lot of kids that are coming back. You had Tyler Farwell, who had gotten some substantial time at varsity. Danny Sims as a freshman, John Dugan as a sophomore, Zach Confer was a sophomore. So your experience is coming from your line. But John, we're going to take a quick timeout here for the playing of the national anthem by the Griswold Chamber Choir.
All right, nice touch by Griswold High School, having the national anthem sung by the chamber choir and bringing a little bit of everyone in there. We got cheerleaders out there. We got football players out there. This home opener kind of bringing everybody into the fold to make it something special. And it's also youth football night. It was actually the Griswold youth football cheerleaders that led the Griswold Wolverines onto the field, as well as the Griswold youth football players. And then the Griswold youth cheerleaders performed just prior to us coming live on the air.
The future of Griswold High School, leading out the present Griswold High School. These youth nights have always been a fantastic thing for the kids, and just to have them step out on the big field. A lot of them, you can see their faces. They're always in awe, especially the young flag kids coming out here. They don't know what's coming for them, and before you blink an eye, they will soon find out.
Absolutely. As a father of a freshman on this Griswold Wolverine team, time flies. It goes by in an instant. I remember him as an 8U football player where his pads kind of swallowed him. And now here he is on the big field under the lights.
Hey, we'll give a big shout out to Coach Sean McFadden out there. Hello back to you from Ted and John. Opening kickoff here looks to be recovered on the 25-yard line. That's by number 14 in Stonington. That's actually a perfect kick for Griswold in this situation. No return on the kick, and good thing being on grass, that ball is going to stop right at the sideline where they had it. If we're playing in Stonington on the turf, that ball's going out of bounds, and we're looking at a penalty.
Right, absolutely. That was Joshua Mooney. He's a junior, number 14 from Stonington, that did retrieve the kickoff, and it will be first down and 10 from the Stonington 25-yard line.
Number 3 for Stonington on the carry, John.
I'm going to need help with that last name.
Yeah, that's Matthew Castiglio.
Castiglio.
Sorry about that, buddy. We're going to call you Matt C for the game. Tackle on that play was by number 86, Andrew Hardin. That's a relative of our announcer, John.
Yes, it is. And it looks like there was a tackle for a loss made back there.
That's a great backfield tackle there by number 1, Ethan Frazier. going to drop Stonington for a 2-yard loss. It was 2nd and 6. Now it's about 3rd and 9. And Griswold looks like they're stepping up their game on defense a little bit here. They're in their traditional 4-4 defense, 4 down linemen, 4 up linebackers.
Right, so this is night and day from what we saw in Ledyard. So I think what you were saying about the coaching up, the film study, the extra practices this week are paying off. And there's a tackle made along the sideline by number 5, Ryan Palillo. That'll bring up 4th and let's call it 5 for the Stonington Bears.
One thing that's going to have to happen tonight for Griswold, if they're going to shut them down and make them punt on 4th down and under 5, they're going to have to be disciplined. They cannot give up procedure penalties on defense. They have to stay disciplined and get the punt off. It looks like Stonington is going to go for it.
Ooh, there's a little bit of a step. I don't see any laundry on the field, but I think it.
You had a back in motion, and the down lineman, I think that was number 77.
77.
Is that John Dugan? Yeah, it was John Dugan.
Right.
Reacted to the motion. He did not cross the line of scrimmage, but the carry was good enough for a Stonington first down. A.J. Massagale's going for it early here in the beginning of the game inside his own 40. There's a big hole there. By number 14. Ryan Palillo made a great tackle at the knees there on number 14, Josh Mooney.
Josh Mooney with the pickup there. Pickup of about 4, so it's 2nd down and 6, Stonington.
So this Stonington group that's juniors was actually their senior Super Bowl champion when they were in 8th grade, and the Mooney kid was an absolute stud. And he's a big kid here, and he's a hard runner. So that's a good tackle by Ryan Palillo.
Handoff to number 3, Matthew C. Tackle made by number 73, Daniel Sims.
Big Danny Sims blowing through that offensive line. You already noticed a difference in Danny's play. He seems like he's amped up for this game. Just looking at him, he's showing some energy and some aggression. This is a good sign. You know, Danny was a freshman 2 years ago and still a leader on the team. You know, they're going to be looking up to these kids.
And Stonington goes to the air, finds a receiver
coverage
open.
Here.
And I hit the wall.
Ran down by number 2 from Griswold. That's Kyle Montigny. Number 19 from Stonington with the catch. That's Brady Mullen. Looked like there was a little bit of a broken coverage on that play.
Right, and we have an official timeout on the field for an injured player.
It's looking like Kyle might have landed on his stomach just on the tackle on someone's foot.
Just got the wind knocked out of him. The training staff's out on the field with him. Hopefully he'll be able to come back into the game. Because I can tell you, and you can see it here on our coverage, there are several Wolverines just in their street clothes wearing their jerseys. We've lost several players since last week.
Yeah, and, you know, we had talked about this too. You've got 2 of your senior captains on the sideline in street clothes in Zach Confer and Tyler Farwell. And, you know, losing players is never good, but losing 2 players that have extensive varsity experience from 2 years ago certainly does not help.
No, absolutely. And I think we've got a roster of somewhere around 31 players. So when you lose that senior leadership and that experience on the field, it hurts you exponentially.
And Kyle Montigny's up off the ground and, you know, just walking off the field under his own power. So that's a good sign for the Wolverines.
And it will be first down and goal from the 4-yard line for the Bears with 8:35 left to play in the first quarter.
Looks like they are short of the goal line. They're on just inside the 1, Stonington. That was a keeper by the upback from Stonington, number 26, Lucian Tedeschi.
Right. And it was that second effort by Tedeschi that got him to where he was. Initial contact was made a couple of yards further back.
what you're going to be looking at here, you're probably going to look at a straight dive, some sort of wedge play just to the up back, number 26, to limit the handoffs. I think you're just going to see just power right up the middle. And here we go. Yep. Just reading the hole, diving 40 yard, and he is in for a Stonington touchdown. That's number 26 from Stonington.
26, Lucian Tedeschi with the first score of the game. It is Stonington 6, Griswold 0.
So one of the things you want to do, obviously, when you get down inside the one, you want to limit the amount of exchanges. And when you're in a shotgun offense out of this modified wing T offense, you know, the shotgun snap to the up back and just diving forward is the way to go. That's number 14 with a pitching wedge through the uprights.
So Josh Mooney doing it on kickoff, doing it on offense, and doing it with his foot. So we are at 7 minutes, 49 seconds in the first quarter. Your score, Stonington Bears 7, Griswold Wolverines 0.
So looking at that first drive, John, I'm not seeing anything that Griswold can't stop. There was a little bit of broken coverage on the pass play that, you know, they picked up about 60 yards on, give or take. Outside of that, they played the run very well. They kept their outside contained on some of these pitches that were going on. And, you know, I think it's something that it doesn't look as if Stonington has that big burst of speed that the Ledyard backs had last week. You know, I'm thinking between the outlow kid from Ledyard there, he was a very, very fast kid. What he ended up with about 140, 150 yards. And, you know, it doesn't seem as if Stonington has that breakaway speed.
No, with the exception of that pass where they were able to get open right in the middle of our backfield, the Griswold defense stood. And last week, just like you said, the Ledyard offense on rushes alone were averaging 7.1 yards a carry.
That's Ryan Palillo fields the kickoff at about the 8-yard line. And he's going to bring it back to the Griswold 23, 22-yard line. Looks like it'll be the 22-yard line. Griswold will take over 1st and 10. Tackle on that play looked to be by number 35 from Stonington. We'll give him a shout-out, Dominic Rataco.
Hey, you know what's interesting to me, and actually I find, you know, kind of fulfilling, is being able to do some of the public address announcing for Griswold youth football for like the past 5-6 years. Some of the names that I called in youth football, we're now seeing on the high school field.
You're absolutely right. They're a little bit bigger this time around, but you are 100% correct.
Right. The jerseys and the numbers are not tucked into the pants. We can see them all.
That's right.
Oops.
Oh, we have a fumble on the exchange here. Pitch was out to number 2, Kyle Montigny, who's back out on the field. And looked as if the pitch was behind him a little bit. Griswold's running a little bit of a modified double wing where what they're trying to do is get an extra back through the hole quicker. So instead of running your traditional double wing, it looks like they're running some sort of A over or B over formation where one of the wing backs actually goes into the backfield behind the fullback. It's a dive off tackle to the right. That was by number 5, Ryan Palillo.
Right, and that was for no gain. That'll bring up 3rd and 14 from Griswold's own 18-yard line. So we are already starting to see some differences from the Griswold offense as well as the defense being able to make some stops and hold the Stonington Bears on that first drive.
That's Palillo on the carry. He picked up about 6 yards. Got himself past the original line of scrimmage. You're still looking at about 4th down and about 7 yards for Griswold.
And the tackle was made by number 3, Matthew Castiglio. I believe that's correct.
Castiglio, yes. So one of the things that's going to have to happen here tonight, I think Griswold's going to have to use whatever speed they have to get on the outside. You know, Stonington is pounding down on the interior offensive line for Griswold. So they're going to have to work their way to the outside a little bit, try to stretch the play out some, and try to find a hole.
Griswold's
Looks like we
back
got
to
a little bit of a block punt here by Stonington.
Gets a Griswold roll, but it's being brought back.
Josh Turner made that initial hit on the Stonington returner. Number 64 from Griswold ended up finishing the play, and that is Aiden Daniluk.
Aiden Daniluk on the tackle. And once again, they're going to make sure that we get this name. The return by number 3, Matthew Castiglio. That'll bring up first down and 10 from the Griswold 25-yard line. I guess practice is going to make perfect on some of these last names.
If not, we'll get a caller into the radio station this evening with some phonetic spellings for this young gentleman. If there's a fan of this player out there, we want to make sure that we get his name correct, and we're gonna work on trying to get to the bottom of Mike Minarski's bag of tricks here, and we're gonna give some. What are we gonna give a phone number, Mike?
So pickup of 6 yards on that play makes it second down and 4. Stonington, number 7, Aiden Schrade on the carry.
Okay, Castigliolo. There you go. There's an extra low. There's an extra low at the end. Castigliolo. And there's 2 of them, so we better get them right. Matt and Alex.
All right. See, teamwork paid off. We got it.
There's number 16, and you're gonna get a holding penalty that's gonna bring this back. Interior lineman of Stonington reaching and grabbing. You could see it from up here in the Griswold Pride booth.
Griswold Pride Broadcasting booth bringing you this Griswold Stonington High School football game. Visit Griswold Pride at griswoldpride.org.
You're going to get a 10-yard penalty from the spot. You're going to have third down, and it is going to be about 7. 3rd and 7 for Stonington.
Going back to Will French on that carry.
He's going to be down short of the goal line, just inside the 1. That was just a simple slant off tackle, and it seemed as if the Griswold defensive end was either downfield too far or he got himself caught inside. I think he was caught inside, which paved an open path for number 16. Again, you're looking at the goal line. If they're looking to distribute some touchdowns, you're going to see something different, which you do. Number 16 got him there and finished it off for Stonington. That's number 16 again.
Will French.
Will French in for the score, the junior from Stonington.
So Will French able to get his touchdown back from the penalized play. Stonington with its second touchdown, 3:47 left in the first quarter. Your score, Bears 13, Wolverine 0.
That's another fine pitching wedge from number 14, Mooney, for the extra point.
The extra point is good. Bringing your score, Stonington 14, Griswold 0. So both teams, at least from offense, what we've seen from Stonington with a couple of possessions is changing it up a little bit, going to the left, going to the inside, coming off slants, coming off pitches to the outside, direct snaps out.
Yeah, so they are mixing it up a little bit. You know, they're running, again, that modified wing tee. It's more like a Delaware set. And, it's about execution here. Stonington is getting the job done. Again, we said before the broadcast started, they are a good team. So we're not going to take that away from them. Griswold, we're seeing some different intensity out of them tonight for sure. They have some young kids out there. filling in for some seasoned kids, and this is a great way for them to get experience. Coming to Griswold High School, getting on a varsity field early in your career, and 9th and 10th grade usually doesn't happen in very many schools, and they're going to get that experience this season.
Certainly doesn't happen very often. And the return back for Griswold by number 11, Josh Turner.
That was a good stick there on Josh Turner.
That'll be around the 6-yard line for Griswold. No, wait.
Right
what
about,
is that, the 12?
That's about the 12. That looked like the tackle was made by number 4, Luke Lowry, Jr. from Stonington. Josh Turner fielded that ball right around the 1-yard line, probably a ball that he should have let go in the end zone for a touchback. But, you can't fault the kid for being aggressive and wanting to make something happen. And, knowing Josh Turner, he's a tough kid, so he's not going to back down from taking any hits out there.
No, I think all of these Wolverines out on the field tonight want to make something happen. They want to kind of avenge the loss from last week and show people what Griswold High School football really is.
And for those of you watching out on YouTube, you'll see what's happening here. You've got Stonington is running a 2 deep, but the problem is that they are sending everybody else to the line of scrimmage, and they are penetrating the Griswold offensive line before the handoff even happens. I think you're going to have to start to look here to see if you can do some sort of straight drop back pass, not necessarily a bootleg with a new quarterback, but just something straight that he can drop back and try to find a receiver.
Right, but the Griswold offensive line, this is something, and there's a tackle made right at the line of scrimmage. There was a defensive tackle that was able to penetrate the line and make the tackle almost immediately. But this is one of the things that we did see and mentioned last week in the Ledyard game is the defensive line of Ledyard was able to penetrate the offensive line of Griswold almost at the time of the snap.
Yeah, and you can see, Josh Turner's the only one in the backfield, and there's about 7 Stonington jerseys behind the line of scrimmage making the play. So you got to worry about the front line of kids first before you start picking up second-level linebackers. It seems as if they're just coming right through, and they're stunting, and they're doing the best that they can to stop them. But, in this case here, they got the ball to the outside, and you had one-on-one coverage on Palillo, and it was great coverage there by number 9 from Stonington, if I'm not mistaken. That's Zach Zuro. Or I'm sorry, number
John.
8. Number 8, Jack Scahill.
So, yeah, well, the one thing that you noticed on that play is there was the initial contact in the stick on the runner to the outside, and then here came the cavalry.
Yep, and that's Griswold's pinned down in there inside their own 15. Now they're looking to punt again. Nice punt got off there by Josh Turner. And I don't know, you end up, you got a roughing the punter here. Penalty on Stonington. So I'm going to guess that you're going to get a first down, but there's also a flag on the other side of the field. So we're either looking at offsetting penalties or we're looking at a roughing the kicker.
Right, so the referees are conferring at the middle of the field. And we'll await the call. So really, here early in this game, Griswold's going to have to depend on their defense to hold Stonington to give their offense a chance before it gets too far away from them.
So with John Dugan coming off the field, he's not typically an offensive lineman. I think you're looking at Griswold retaining possession. So you have personal fouls against both teams, according to Mr. D'Amico, our announcer. Let's see if that is the case. You're looking at a potential re-kick. So you have roughing the kicker against Stonington, and that penalty is declined. Okay, so you have another personal. So you have a double personal foul against – you have a personal foul against Griswold and another personal foul against Stonington. Those are going to offset. So Stonington is going to take possession, which I'm a bit confused, where there's a roughing the kicker and 2 unsportsmanlike penalties, 1 against each team. how that's playing out. Where Stonington's
because if those offset,
if they they offset. You had the roughing the kicker, so I'm surprised it's not a re-kick in this situation. But let's see what's going on. They are talking again.
right? Because common sense would almost tell you if you have offsetting personal foul calls, basically, that's a wash.
Right.
And then you have the roughing the kicker, so that penalty would be enforced, but the penalty was declined. But it looks like they're spotting the ball on the Griswold 28, and it'll be first down and 10 Stonington.
It's possible that they may have signaled the personal foul penalty twice. It may have just been 1-1, but
right. Official timeout getting the chain gang reset. I think they may have been a little bit confused on what was going on.
I'm confused. Are we at Griswold High School tonight?
We are.
Okay.
And you can tell by our infamous light pole right at the 50-yard line.
The beautiful 50-yard pole.
50-yard pole.
I wonder if it would be possible for us to climb it and pull it down.
Oh, like a la goalpost.
Yeah, just let's remove it.
So pickup of 3 on the last play. Second down and 7, Stonington. We're into the final seconds of the first quarter. So Lucian Tedeschi was showing pass and then kept it and going to the outside. Tackle was made along the far sideline.
From up here, depending upon how they're going to play this, there was a penalty flag that came in, but it was picked up.
Yeah, the flag was picked up. It looks like it's third down and 1 from the 20.
You have a drop pass by number 14. If he retained possession of that, Palillo picked that ball up. That could have been a score for Griswold there. Unfortunately, there was no control by number 14, Justin Mooney. Or Joshua Mooney, sorry. Joshua Mooney. Going to give you 4th down and 1. Again, this is a tough game, even for Stonington. They clearly, to start the game, they're definitely outmatching Griswold. And, it's hard to maintain sportsmanship at times when you're trying to, second game of the year, play kids, work on things without it appearing that you're running up the score. And the coaching philosophy really is, these kids are playing the game and, you got to stop them. That's the bottom line. But it's not fun to be on the losing side, but it's also not fun to be on the winning side sometimes in a high scoring game, especially like it was last week.
Right. No. And you said it, I think right there is Griswold has to stop them because once again, in short yardage situation, Stonington goes right up the middle with number 7, Aiden Schrage, and they pick up the first down. And that will take us to the end of the first quarter. Your score, Stonington 14, Griswold 0.
I would say really at this point, Griswold's really got nothing to lose and they get the ball back on offense. See what the young kid can do, give him a shot, let him take a shot downfield, spread things out a little bit. And what's the worst that happens, John? A pick six. Okay, I get it. It stinks, but let's see what he can do. Give him a shot and make Stonington respect the fact that, you're going to throw a pass in there and see what happens.
Absolutely. And it's still early in the ball game. You still have 3 quarters of football left. So really, if it doesn't go your way, there's plenty of game left to make it up. But it also shows a lot of confidence the coach would have in his players to be able to put something together like that and execute.
It's going to force Stonington from just bringing the house every single play. And right now, you've got backers. Their backers are stunting. And, the quarterback opens left. You're getting right side backers, stunting in. It just – you somehow have to mix something in there, slow them down, change it up.
Right. Stonington defense has definitely been able to read the Griswold offense so far in this game. There's Tedeschi to the outside. He's going to tuck the ball and run to the outside. And will finally be brought down around the 8-yard line. But that will pick up another Stonington first down. First and goal, Bears.
That's a touchdown by number 7 from Stonington. That's Aiden Schrage.
Right, direct snap to number 7 to pick up the Stonington touchdown. What is that? Just 34 seconds into the second quarter. Stonington with another touchdown. Your score, Bears 20, Wolverines 0. And the extra point is good. So it is Stonington 21, Griswold 0. So Ted, what have you noticed differently between this defense in the Stonington's first possession and this most recent possession? Definitely Stonington's been able to move the ball more freely. Is that more from changes on the Stonington side or changes on the Griswold side?
I think Griswold, to be honest with you, it looks like they're getting tired. You know, they don't have the numbers to substitute out on the defensive line. You've got most of those kids that are out there, you know, Danny Sims and number 78, which is, I think, is A.J. Hamill.
Yeah.
You got a lot of these kids. Aiden Daniluk, it looks like, you know, they're playing both sides of the ball. It's tough, especially for a defensive lineman to go both ways this early in the season. You know, Stonington, if you have the ball and you're moving the ball, momentum, energy, everything is on your side. And when they keep running on you, you know, that wears on you twice as much. So I don't know that they've made any personnel changes as opposed to, you know, just being tired. But looks like you had a little mishap on the return here. I'm not sure who's coming up with the ball down there.
No, the ball was touched by Griswold and then actually bounced forward. There's a little bit of a scrum on the far side. We'll see who comes up with the ball, and it was Griswold.
So it looked like whoever, I'm not sure who was back there returning, was that for Griswold number 24, Jesse Costley. Might have been back there thinking the ball was going to hit the ground and go out of bounds, but it actually skimmed off the grass and went towards him. And then as he went to pick it up, the ball went forward. Fortunately, Griswold recovered it.
Right, that was number 9, Aiden Pelletier, that came up with the ball.
And that's, you know, heads up by Aiden to fall on that ball. Again, that ball is live anywhere between the lines, so it's not like a punt.
No, and it'll be first down and 10 Griswold from their own 28-yard line. Now, one thing, for the most part, in today's game, we're starting off in slightly better field position than we did last week. So
yes,
looking at the positives, that is one positive here immediately in this second game, home opener against the Stonington Bears.
So you've got Stonington's defensive line is 5 yards in the backfield. For those of you who are just listening on the radio, 5 yards in the backfield before the pitch is even caught by the running back. So one thing I think that the quarterback needs to work on here, he's opening to the side in which he's pitching. So it's very hard to open to the right and pitch to the right. Usually when you are pitching to the right, you open to the left, and you're taking like a 180-degree step to get that pitch into the backfield. It's very hard to pitch to the same side that you open. Handing off to the side you open is much different, but pitching to the same side is hard. And that was Josh Turner, John, with the carry up the middle. And that brings it just back to the line of scrimmage after that previous 4 or 5 yard loss. So you're looking at 3rd and 10. I mean, truthfully here, you know, one of the things that Griswold traditionally does is they run They'll run a waggle pass out of double wing here. With the penetration that Stonington's getting, I don't think that's going to be a good idea. I mean, I think you need to look at a straight drop back pass, but or you're either going to stick it to the ground. They're going to run just a regular dive up the middle by Josh Turner for a 5-yard carry, and you know what? That's a positive sign. There was some nice blocking on the left-hand side of that line of scrimmage by Griswold. I'm not sure who it was, but whoever that, I think that was John Dugan, number 77 for Griswold on the left side.
Left tackle.
As well as it looks like it might be Danny Sims on that same side as Dugan.
Right. Well, one thing, I mean, you're picking up, there's 2 runs right up the middle by Josh Turner. Both of them picked up 5 yards. That's fantastic. The only problem is we started that at 3rd down or 2nd down going into 3rd down, which brought up a 4th and 5. We punt. There is a flag on the field.
You're going to get a penalty against Griswold. It's going to be an illegal shift against Griswold. They had a kid coming in late, and it's very possible that he was coming forward in motion as he was running on the field. That was Benjamin Lewis. But, again, in this case, the penalty will probably be declined by Stonington, given the fact that I think it was a negative yardage punt. This is another thing, too. You've got freshmen out there. In Josh Turner, they have a job to punt the ball. First thing you got to do is count to make sure you got 10 guys in front of you. And if you don't, you're screaming at the sidelines to get somebody in. But, again, they're under enormous amounts of pressure. And, they're young, and they're going to learn. So this is, some teaching experience for them. But I will give it to them. They're out playing the game, and they're not quitting. I'm going to tell you that right now. Coach Wilcox, Coach Aubin, those guys are not going to let these kids quit. And they are definitely not going to quit on the kids either. So it's a young team, and they're just going to have to keep working. That's all.
They are. And one of the things that we know is I was going to say, if you're the punter and you're looking out there and you only have 9 guys in front of you, Griswold had not taken a timeout at that point.
Correct. And, there's spotters up in the booth, with headphones. And, I can tell you for the last 4 years, screaming into the headphones. And when nobody listens or nobody hears me, I'll hang over the railing and scream at the top of my lungs. And you got to get word down to the field that you're short kids. But, the up back even does some counting to make sure that everybody's there.
Right. And Stonington goes to the air.
Hey, you should have a potential block in the back here, but it did not get called.
There is a flag on the far side. But the pass was complete to number 4, Josiah Blackman. But there is a flag on the field.
One of the things you're going to see here, too, a lot of times, it is coming back. It is against Stonington. So you have a false start before the play. You'll see the ghost flag, if you want to call it, come out. The officials, I will tell you, especially the ECFO, even in the youth level, they do a great job of controlling the game, controlling the score. They'll tighten up their calls a little bit to keep things respectable. I mean, obviously, they're not going to stop the kids from playing, and they're not going to not call the game. But, they're going to make sure if there's a penalty that they will definitely call it.
Right, absolutely. And I think this is a perfect point with 1st and 15 against Stonington for the Griswold defense to capitalize on Stonington in a long yardage situation.
I'll tell you, for a freshman right now, Josh Turner's name has been called numerous times, both on offense and defense. Freshman, middle linebacker. He was at the bottom of that pile again on the wrap-up of number 26. And about a 2-yard gain, 1 or 2 yard gain. But he is Josh Turner came to play tonight, I will tell you that. He's definitely a different ball player than he was last week.
Right. Oh, slant pass right over the middle, number 4, Josiah Blackman. He is tackled in the end zone for another Stonington touchdown. 8:17 left in the first half. Your score, Stonington 27, Griswold 0. So really, Ted, it's been 2 pass plays for long yardage that have really broken this open for Stonington. Without that, this is probably a closer ball game.
Yeah, and it's one thing to drive the ball 80 yards on the ground, John, over the span of a quarter. I mean, a long sustained drive is good for an offense, but it's also good for a defense. I mean, you're not giving up the big plays on the runs. You're controlling it. You're making them use 3-4 downs to get first downs. It's those big pass plays that kill you at the end of the day. I mean, that can get things out of control very quickly. I would expect them to probably get away from the pass now that it's 28-0 and we still have 8:17 left in the second quarter. You're probably going to see some newer Stonington kids coming in. I don't know how the JV situation is for both teams just from a numbers perspective, but, this could turn into to some playing time experience for some of the younger kids on both sides.
Right, because that's advantageous for the Stonington team because they get to see kind of what their underclassmen are able to do. But it also is advantageous for Griswold because due to the inexperience and possibly size differences with the younger players, we may be able to, make some stops and get some turnover on downs.
And I'm hearing potentially there may not be a JV game this week. No, there is not a JV game, so no. you could turn that into a good experience for some of these younger kids. And there's Josh Turner. He fields the return about the 11-yard line.
He had some field in front of him.
Broke it. Just literally not even tripped up, clipped up, just bumped off balance by number 18 from Stonington, Alex Karsten. A good 25-yard or so return by Josh Turner there. Turned on the juice. It was actually a really good wedge up the middle of the field. Number 18 there got loose and just bumped Josh off balance.
Right. If Karsten wouldn't have made that bump, probably Turner was gone.
Could have been. And he was at top speed when he was coming through. So he's back in again. We're calling Josh Turner's name and number. There's Palillo off tackle for about 4 yards.
So first down and 10, Griswold from their own 35, and they pick up 4 on first down, second down and 6.
So Stonington's really pursuing the ball. So whatever side it appears the quarterback is going to hand off to, they are pursuing. If they can, I don't know if Griswold's work on it, but I know they have it in their arsenal, some sort of reverse. A trap won't work, but some sort of outside counter, not an inside counter, but an outside counter run with some speed could get around the edge.
Right, and there was an excellent block to the outside, and unfortunately, number 16, Will French, came from the opposite side to make that tackle.
They wrapped up Palillo again. Ryan gained about 2 yards. It's going to be third down and 4. This would be a good test of discipline for Griswold if they could go on a multi-cadence here and try to draw Stonington off sides.
Right, but for one of the first times in this game that I've seen so far, the left side of the Griswold offense completely collapsed the Stonington defense. And the tackle was made by a player from the opposite side. On third down, they go back up the middle. It looks like they may have picked up enough for the first down. And they did, and
I think that's actually Griswold's first down of the game.
That is Griswold's first down. First down and 10, Wolverines from the 45-yard line.
Looked like the traditional tight 2 wedge where you get your lineman blocking down and just creating a wedge and pushing people downfield. That was positive 4 yards for Josh Turner, if I'm not mistaken, on a first down. Gives Griswold a fresh set of downs. We do have a score update. Killingly's Ben Jackie returns the kickoff for a touchdown. Killingly leads East Lyme 13-7. You've got, Killingly will be facing Griswold here very shortly coming up. And, you talk about a power running game. Killingly's two backs in Soren Reef and Jack Sharp, both of whom played here in Griswold youth football. 2 of the top backs in the ECC for sure. Jack Sharp being a senior coming off a 2,000-yard season, and Soren Reef an upcoming sophomore who is from Griswold, by the way, up in the Killingly VOAG program. Both of them had outstanding games in the opener last week.
Right, and there's Chase Spurley seeing a hole and going back up the middle for positive yardage.
It was a good reaction there by him to see that he didn't have the rollout and he cut it up and came inside his blockers. So, again, we're looking at positive yardage. We're eating up clock here, John. We're down to 5:16 left in the first half. It is 3rd and long.
Yeah, we've got about a 3rd and let's call it 5.5 from midfield.
I think you got to get the ball into Josh Turner's hands here. Try to get a lead blocker out in front of him. Let Josh do his thing. He seems to be running the ball pretty hot. That's a dive play up the middle there to number 30 from Griswold. Benjamin Lewis, freshman. We're talking about younger kids. Luke Cassidy, freshman. Chase Spurley, quarterback, freshman. Turner, Josh Turner, freshman.
Ben Lewis, freshman.
I mean, you're looking at all the Griswold skill kids that are touching the ball, all young freshmen. Andrew Hardin, freshman. Kyle Montague, who's out there, sophomore. Cade Rubino, who's out, he's a sophomore. So you've got some skill and some speed. They're just young. But
that's a good sign for Griswold going forward.
It's a great sign.
So Griswold going for it on 4th and 2. Looks like Stonington was ready for him. Griswold did not pick up enough yardage for the first down.
I like the call. Absolutely like the call. They're struggling punting. Why not? Let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. Got nothing to lose.
And it did look like number 73, Danny Sims, was a little bit slow getting up. Got the hands on the knees there at midfield. Hopefully he's all right.
Danny's a very, very big, strong kid. Again, junior. He was a starter on the offensive line as a freshman, and he certainly held his own. So he's another kid. Although he's a junior, he's a leader on this team, and he's playing both sides of the ball.
Absolutely, I do hear that name along with others multiple times in my house from my son. And we've got an official timeout on the field. 4:05 left in the first half. Your score, Stonington 28, Griswold 0.
So I was up at Curry College this past weekend watching my son Andrew and Mike Sims, who play for Curry. They played Coast Guard last weekend, ended up beating Coast Guard. And after the game, I saw Danny Sims in the bleachers, and he was the same exact size as the Curry starting lineman, and he's a 16-year-old junior, and he's certainly not done growing. So I think as the year progresses and he gets back into football, he's going to be somebody to watch as the end of the season rolls around. So be on the lookout for the third Sims boy coming out of Griswold High School.
Right, that's one of the things I don't have on my roster, even though I have columns for it, is height and weight. Because there are some big old boys on that field on both sides of the ball.
We got another score update. New London is up 7-6 over Guilford. And we did talk about Soren Reef before. He was actually the one that scored the first touchdown of the game tonight against East Lyme. Good friend of mine, actually, the East Lyme head coach, Rudy Bagos, I actually grew up with. He was like a big brother to me. And his defensive coordinator, Sean Latiga, who was the head coach at the Thames River Triop. I just went to the Tampa Bay Dallas game with him last week. And we were talking about it on the airplane, how he was going to be shutting down Jack Sharp and Soren Reef. So Soren got one on already, but it is 13-7. So we'll see how that game progresses.
There's a pitch out by Stonington to the left side. Number 14, Josh Mooney.
So what Stonington's doing here, obviously, if you're getting penetration in the middle of the field, they're stretching the game. They're stretching it to the sideline. And, Griswold runs reach plays, which, you're gaining positive yardage on what looks like a play from sideline to sideline. but when the reach is run right, it's at a slight angle. So you're gaining 4 or 5 yards on a reach play. Stonington ended up getting about 10 there, and that was just based upon sheer speed of the Mooney boy.
Right, absolutely. And it was enough for a Stonington first down. It did move the chains. Looks like there's an official timeout.
Yeah, you got
for a player. We're going to have a player substitution.
Griswold player down. That's Aiden
Peltier, who was in on one of the previous tackles. We've called his name a couple of times.
Sophomore, yep. You got big A.J. Hamill coming out of the game right now. Danny Sims in for him. So you've got Dugan and Sims on the same side of the ball. And that's some beef to move there. I'm looking for both of these guys to start to take things over.
Right. AJ is a big boy. I was talking to his father before the game, and he's fired up. He's ready to play, and I hope he does well tonight because his number 78, if I may say, was my number when I played. So there's always a soft spot in my heart for any number 78.
And, AJ is just a good kid. I had the fortunate coach to be able to coach him in Little League Baseball and again this summer in Legion Baseball. He's just a great kid. Polite young man with a great voice. He was in the chamber choir before the game, and he's happy to be back playing football this year. You're going to have a block in the back penalty right there, number 8, without a doubt. Whatever happens as the result of this play, it's coming back.
So we're seeing a lot more flags in this game than what we saw previously, and luckily those flags, for the most part, have gone against Stonington.
And you could see it forming right in front here. The Griswold, couldn't see. I think it was Ryan Palillo who was coming up to make the tackle, and the Stonington wide receiver just blasted him from behind. And it's going to be a spot foul, so you're going to look at a 10-yard penalty from the 30-yard line. So Stonington's going to replay the down. So it's going to be about 2nd and 9 for them from the 40-yard line. Oh, my apologies. 15-yard penalty. 2nd and 14.
Right, helmet to helmet. So it will be, what is that, 2nd and 14 from the 45-yard line? Josh Mooney going to the outside. Tackle made by number 1, Ethan Frazier.
Ethan Frazier, and also tripped up there on the play by 86, Andrew Hardin. Andrew tripped him up, set him up for Ethan.
Yeah, he's going to appreciate that. He's going to be like, my dad forgot to
my
call
dad,
me.
I'm watching your son. You should be watching your son, too. I'm watching your kid.
Oh, this is one of the wonderful things about our community and what we have here is, you were saying coaching AJ in Little League and then being able to watch your son and call his games on Streaming News and Sport Network, SNSN Radio. It's so special.
Tackle there by Brendan Hopkins, number 18 for Griswold. Another freshman.
Very young Griswold Wolverine team. But, hey, we're calling their names, so they're getting plays done.
Yeah, and, I remember the last time we had this amount of freshmen, they struggled. It was actually Mike Sims and Andrew Koziol's freshman year. The only time they lost to Plainfield, I think, in the last century and a half. And, they ended up picking up the next 3 Thanksgiving Day wins and just coming up shy of, 3 conference championships. So, the future will be bright for Griswold. Unfortunately, their number 26 got around the outside
Lucian
for another
Tedeschi.
touchdown. Lucian Tedeschi, another score for Stonington.
And Griswold had deep penetration, but Tedeschi was able to cut to the outside, and then he had green field and scored another Stonington touchdown with just under 30 seconds left to play in the first half. Your score, Stonington 34, Griswold 0.
So if the point after is good, we learned last week, obviously 35-point score difference in the second half is a running clock. And I'm sure with the we have a botched snap by Stonington, and Number 14 was actually down on his knee, but he's going to pick it up, and he is going to be stopped short of the goal line by Ryan Palillo, number 5, initially wrapped up and also hit by Danny Sims and Ethan Frazier. So that's going to keep the clock in a non-running format to start the second half. Obviously, Coach Wilcox will have a conversation with Coach Massengale at the half if needed, just to see where things are at. You obviously second game in the season, coming off of basically what's a 2-year time period before they played football. Nobody wants either team to get hurt. Nobody wants either team to be demotivated. At the end of the day, both these coaches realize these are just kids and young men at the end of the day. So, common sense always prevails. And I will tell you, that's one of the good things. I've been coaching in the ECC since 1995. And I will tell you the mantra of the conference has been sportsmanship, I would say 99% of the time. So, this is a good situation where a conversation between two coaches can keep things under control.
Right. And not that we're there yet, but what does that do to a player's psyche, knowing that you've got a running clock because there is over a 35-point deficit between you and your opponent?
You know that the game is over. I mean, very few teams come back from a running clock at 35-point differential. It's over, and some kids are probably like, okay, it's done, and some kids don't want that. But at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do. Rules are put in place for score control, and you just deal with it. There's not much you can do. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as a coach. It's frustrating as a player, and I'm sure as a parent of a player out here, I'm sure it's frustrating. But if you're listening and watching, these boys are out here playing football still. They could be doing quite a few other things that they shouldn't be doing, but they're here on a Friday night playing the sport they love. And judging by the crowd, people are still coming in. They're not leaving. People are still coming in. If you can't see the crowd, it's a very packed football game here tonight. And I was happy last week. I'm happy this week again just to see football going on.
Absolutely. We had said something to the effect of, high schoolers being able to be high schoolers. And there's something about high school football, the crowds, the band, there's something special about it that I think is only really just exceeded by maybe college football. I wouldn't even say pro football exceeds, what's special about high school and college football.
And I'll tell you, there very well could be more fans here in the stands here tonight in Griswold than there was at the Curry Coast Guard game last weekend. I know that, the city of Milton had some more restrictions than Griswold High School here does, but, there's a great crowd and, just taking the game and enjoy it. Don't worry about the score. Just keep working, keep getting better.
Right. And that 29 and a half seconds came off the clock. So we are at halftime. Your score, Stonington Bears 34, Griswold Wolverines 0.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Wolverine Stadium here at Griswold High School. The score at the half, we're just about ready to start the third quarter, 34-0. Stonington over Griswold. Griswold has yet to score a point at all this year. So I want to bring you the sponsors right now. Do you know the sponsors? No. Ha! There you go. I know the sponsors. Jewett City Savings Bank, thank you very much for sponsoring every single year right here on SNSN. They have branches all the way from Putnam to Pawcatuck, John.
Putnam to Pawcatuck.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. They've really expanded quite well. They have a brand new president and CEO, Michael Alberts, as Mr. Merchant has retired.
Passing of the guard. That's been here in just the last couple of days.
Yeah, we had Mike Alberts in the studio for an interview. So
on the morning show.
Yeah, had a good conversation with him. The Burns Agency in Dayville and in Norwich. Jay Burns has been such a great friend of SNSN and Wolverine Radio. Same thing with the Jewett City Savings Bank before, and they sponsor everything. And we appreciate them so much. Without these sponsors, by the way, we can't do what it is that we do. So thanks, Jay, and your whole team at the Burns Agency. Go to burnsagency.com. Find out why you will buy better at Burns. Griswold Pride, griswoldpride.org. Pride stands. You know what it stands for, John? The partnership to reduce the influence of drugs for everyone. Pride. That's what it means.
So it's an acronym.
It is. It is. And it's Griswold Pride is all about education and drug prevention. There's a whole bunch of, and right now they have a whole bunch of tools and information on griswoldpride.org for speaking to vaping, because vaping is a huge, huge thing right now, especially with some of the younger kids. So griswoldpride.org. Thank you very much. Along the same vein, CIRAC. They are another drug prevention company. They are out of Norway. Well, they're all over the place, actually. And they take a little bit different angle. Like, for example, CIRAC.org, CT.org. Their mantra is, it's 21 for a reason. 21 for a reason. Griswold Dental on Slater Avenue here in Jewett City. Dr. K and his team. Never tell him that he's got employees. Don't ever say it. He's got team members. He's got nothing but team members.
Team Griswold Dental.
Yep. And I can vouch for them. My whole family can. We go to see Dr. K. We use him as our family dentist. So griswolddental.com. Check out Dr. K. They'll make you smile. And, of course, Dish Auto Sales of Franklin. They're the whole reason why we run around with the Dish Motor Group Acura that has all the stuff on it and stuff. So if you need a quality brand new used car, people have been dealing with the Dishes for well over 35 years. Check them out. 860-383-4750. They are right on Route 32 in Franklin. Deal with the Dishes. John, going to swing it back to you. And, of course, Ted Koziol.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And welcome everybody back to the second half of this Griswold home opener hosting the Stonington Bears. After the end of the first half, the score is Stonington 34, Griswold 0. So we are not, like we were talking about right before the break, we are not at a running clock as of yet. And hopefully here in the second half, much like we saw in the second half of the Ledyard game, we're going to see some Griswold scores. Griswold is receiving the kickoff to begin the second half.
That's Palillo on the carry on the return. Comes out to about the 18-yard line.
Oh, by the way, I goofed. I said they hadn't scored. Oh, yeah, but they did get a touchdown against Ledyard.
Yes,
they did.
Yeah, so, and Coach Ansell's wife, I'm glad she said something.
Absolutely.
June, I hear you, and I'm thinking that we're going to see a score here from Griswold in the second half as well. So, thank you for reminding us of that very, very much.
And Mike, do you remember who caught that touchdown pass in the Ledyard game?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't. No, we were talking about AJ Hamill earlier. It was his younger brother, Jacob Hamill, that caught the touchdown pass from Mr. Chase Spurley. And then Ben Lewis converted the 2-point conversion. So that was freshman to freshman with a freshman capping it off.
I feel bad that I let one of the Ansels down.
Well, put your hand out.
Slap
There
the
you
hand.
go.
That was Chase Spurley on the carry for Griswold, brought down by number 18, Alex Karsten. After about a 3-yard gain, Griswold 2nd and 7 from the 21-yard line. We were talking before about some injuries. There's also, in addition to injuries, there's a few new players down there on the sidelines who have yet to meet the minimum practice requirements before they can play. One of which looks like Kyle Kessler, who is a phenomenal athlete out of the Griswold Wheeler Co-op. He will certainly make huge contributions on both sides of the ball. He has yet to put on an official helmet for Griswold, but did participate in the modified shortened passing league last fall and did a fantastic job. So I'm sure that the Griswold football team's waiting for him to get his remaining 5 practices in to be eligible to play.
Right, and that was Ben Lewis on the carry for no gain. 3rd down and 7.
3rd and 7 here, and again, let's hope for some positive gains here. Could they surprise them with some sort of pass? They got 9 guys up in the box. Looks like another off-tackle left play.
For a couple of yards.
Brings up a 3rd down and about 5. Give or take, maybe 4th down and about
4th
4.
down and 5. So that's the one thing. We were noticing it in the first half that they were gaining 5 yards going up the middle. There was a couple of plays right there back to back where it was a hand up off the middle. Josh Turner.
Yes.
5-yard gain, 5-yard gain. Just unfortunately, we ran out of downs and weren't able to pick up the 1st down. Do you think we'll go back to that? Or are they trying something a little different? Griswold's punting now. Pretty decent punt. Crosses midfield.
The good part about that punt, out of bounds, no return. A great punt there again by freshman Josh Turner. Stonington's going to take over on their own 46-yard line. 9:22 left in the 3rd. Again, if you are just tuning in, 34-0 Stonington. Outside of, Griswold's playing some okay defense, I think, against the run. Gave up 2 big pass plays and 1 big run at the end of the first half to get us to the 34-0 score. While the score may be identical to last week, I'm seeing some positive gains out of Griswold here, coming off of that tough loss against Ledyard last week.
Absolutely. Definitely some positive improvements from the Griswold defense. And there's Josh Turner in the backfield with a tackle for a loss. There we go.
Somebody woke up this morning, said, I'm going to play some football tonight. And that person was Josh Turner for sure.
And it'll be 2nd down and 16. From
We've been calling his name a lot tonight, John.
We have. There's definitely some players that are rising to the top in tonight's ball game. And Josh Turner is certainly one of them.
Let's see if we can make his energy contagious.
Absolutely. Does it rub off? We need some high fives or something to go on. Get whatever Josh Turner's got and give it to a couple of other people. Stonington goes to the air. Number 14 on the reception.
Have another penalty right in front of you here. Did not get called. Number 13 from Griswold was basically tackled to the ground, Cam Staniski, and no call. Unfortunately, no call, and 34-0 game. We're still seeing the air assault here.
Right, and that was number 14, Josh Mooney, on the reception and then scoring the Stonington touchdown, which will break the 35-point threshold with 8:24 left in the third quarter. Score, Stonington 40, Griswold 0.
I'd love to comment on throwing the ball up 34-0, but this is a family-friendly station, so I will reserve my comments to say that it's 30.
The morning show's not so
yeah.
family-friendly.
The morning show's not family-friendly. It's 34 now, 41-0. First half, I'd say all bets are off. Second half, you've got it wrapped up, John, and get some of your younger kids some touches on both sides of the ball, especially since there's no JV game. But I guess it's time for a team to work on their passing game up by 5 touchdowns. So
there's nothing like being up by 5 touchdowns to open it up with the pass attack.
And what's the saying? Insert sarcasm here.
Right.
Yeah. I'd love to come in the morning show and share my thoughts, Mike. If it's if it's a
there might have to be a disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast.
Isn't it one of those social media apps doesn't allow you to swear? It beeps you out as you speak. No. Okay.
No.
Perfect.
Now here's a thought. Now maybe from the Stonington point of view, we will get a real quick score, exceed that 35-point threshold, go to the running clock.
Yep.
And then give people a chance to put some of their younger players in the game.
From the beginning of the game, they were kicking the ball off all the way down almost to the goal line, and now they're strategically placing kickoffs almost to recover the ball. So a little bit of dirty strategy as far as I'm concerned. If I'm looking at this from a coaching perspective, I will tell you. Coaches they have brains like elephants. They're never going to forget. So
No.
I will tell you, I wouldn't forget. Funny story I will tell you is that I still remember first year I was up running the Griswold youth program when the military community still had their program. And the coach called I wasn't coaching at the time, but it was 49-0. Military community was beating Griswold. They called a timeout with 2 seconds left with the ball on the 2-yard line so that they could score another touchdown. And the coach scored, the team scored, and the coach ran across the field screaming, "I scored 50, I scored 50." And I will never forget that. Now, military will never have their program again. And I think the coach is probably about 85 right now at this point. But if he were to ever coach again, I would never forget. And I'm sure these kids here will never forget if they get a shot at Stonington next year. When the tides turn, they're going to want to put the boots to them.
No, this is definite billboard material.
Absolutely.
And on that last carry, that was Josh Turner to the outside with a pickup of 3, 2nd down and 7. Griswold still keeping it on the ground.
I would go jumbo here. I would go some sort of jumbo package and throw John Dugan in the backfield. Throw Danny Sims in the backfield. Let him lead block and let him just blow somebody up. And give the ball to Josh Turner right behind him. As a matter of fact, I think Josh Turner is a cousin of Danny Sims. And, make it a family matter, right?
Yeah, maybe they've drawn up some things in the front yard. Maybe they know something.
Yep. Josh, I'll tell you, Josh is having a hell of a game. I'm going to be honest with you, I am super impressed with him. Freshman, probably 14 years old. He's playing like he's a junior right now. I mean, it's awesome.
Right. And Chase Spurley being brought down.
It looks like on defense you're seeing some different numbers in Stonington here, which is great. Griswold doesn't have very many kids left on the sidelines that are healthy. So, there's not much that you can do there, especially when you got the dirty 30 on the sidelines and you're short about maybe 8 of them. So you're playing with under 24 kids. It is tough, but again, they're still fighting.
It's almost like we would substitute if we could.
Correct.
And Griswold once again pointed.
And Stonington's on the upswing. I mean, they've had a pretty athletic group of kids that have come through the school over the last few years. And You got a flag, you got a block in the back here. Nice to see some sportsmanship from the Stonington players trying to pick up Griswold's number 54, Isaiah Heikala. But that's coming back here. You're going to see a penalty against Stonington.
Absolutely going back.
You know, they had the high school sports, if you haven't been following it around here and anywhere really, is very cyclical. So you have your Ansonias of the world who are always at the top. You have your St. Joe's, but you have teams that are great one year and, you know, they're not so great next year. I mean, things ebb and flow, and, you know, consistency is hard to get in smaller schools. Larger schools, you know, I don't know if New Fairfield Prep had 154 kids come out for football this year. I don't even know if there's 154 kids at Griswold High School for boys. But you have 154 kids coming out for football in a double L school. As a coach, gosh, I mean, what do? How do you play 154 kids through freshman, JV, and varsity football?
Well, I think that's why you do have the freshman JV in varsity football, is because you can support 3 separate programs like that. We talked about earlier in this evening in this broadcast that there may not even be a JV game.
Yep.
Due to the –
There definitely is not. Yeah, there definitely is not.
Right.
You know, Trumbull showed up here 3 years ago, and they brought 2 tour buses. They had 90-something kids get off. It was a monsoon rain, and they all had, you know, pro jackets from head to toe, raincoats. They had generators, tents. I mean, it was amazing. And we had 25 kids on the sidelines ready to play. So, you know, there's a difference between, you know, a larger school and a smaller school for sure. But, you know, the positive of being in a smaller school is you're playing a lot and you're playing early. And you get that varsity experience. And by the time you're a junior, senior, you know, you've gotten more varsity time than most kids around here. And, you know, and that's a draw. That's a draw to a lot of kids to come to Griswold High School, especially from optional towns such as Lisbon and Canterbury and Voluntown. You know, you're going to get on a varsity field here right away.
Right. That was one of the things that was coming to mind as you were talking about, is what those feeder systems are. And here's Stonington breaking open a run to the far side. That's number 3, Matthew Castigliolo.
Matt C. Kind of like Josie. Remember Josie?
Yeah.
You know Josie, right? Rest in peace, Josie, with Kid Rock.
Okay.
Yep. Love Josie.
But feeder systems into a school like Griswold as opposed to a bigger school like Stonington or Ansonia, you know, because we have several towns where their students are eligible to attend Griswold High School, and we have Griswold Youth Football.
Correct. Yeah, and Griswold Youth Football has a larger territory, and you know there was a point in time where Norwich Free Academy had 7 out of 8 kids to play quarterback that came through Griswold Youth Football, because of Lisbon and Preston and Voluntown and Canterbury. Those kids came through this program. So, I mean, you know, Griswold Youth Football, I hate to say it, truly is, you know, partial feeder to NFA as well. But, you know, a majority of the kids do come here. They wear the green and white and black, and, you know, it's a tradition program. It really is, between the youth and the high school. I mean, there's a lot of history here at Griswold High School. It doesn't matter, you know, what your philosophy is. It's still a great school, still a great program, and you know, it's nice to see fresh faces and kids coming through. And you know, John, you said before, you know, some of the the younger kids that you would coach coming up through, you know, baseball and watching them in football, and you know, they were 2'0", and now they're, you know, 6 foot men, and it's just amazing how, you know, these kids grow.
Right, and we've been able to watch them grow in their football careers. It's just fantastic to see somebody that you may have watched in 8U, 10U football that's now on a varsity high school football field.
Got to just go with that. I don't know who that was, number 18. pick it up and go with it.
That was number 18. That was Brendan Hopkins that recovered the ball, bringing it first down and 10. Griswold are they going to mark it at the 9, the 8? We're kind of milling about. No, let's
27.
27. There we go. So with that last touchdown, and the extra point was no good, we are at a running clock, and with 2:33 left in the third quarter, your score, Stonington 47, Griswold 0.
We've got a score update from Killingly. It's 21-7, Killingly at the half.
There we go. And Killingly, you talked about earlier, Jack Sharp and Soren Reef, both Griswold Youth Football alumni.
Yes, Jack came down here and played his 8th grade year. Killingly had left the conference to a league that was going to travel pretty extensively. And he and even Tom Drybolts, who's Killingly starting quarterback, came down here and played senior football down in Griswold. 2 good kids. I mean, hard workers. You can tell exactly where they're at because of how hard they work, not just during the season, but, in the off season. And, obviously it would be nice to have them both. I mean, they're Brooklyn kids, so it's possible that they could have come here, if I'm not mistaken. But, I mean, you're growing up with Killingly kids your whole life. And, if you're a diehard football fan and you got the choice to go to Killingly, I guess I could understand that. But, either way, like I said, football is football. And if you're a good football player, it doesn't matter where you are, they're going to find you. If somebody at the next level wants you, they will find you, whether it's, Griswold, Xavier, Ansonia, doesn't matter. Hill House, just play. Play the game, and they'll find you. Yeah, Darien.
He's just rattling off school. So it will be first down and 10 Griswold from their own 27-yard line.
All right, okay. A little bit of had some coverage downfield. Looked like QB was going for number 11, Josh Turner, down the sidelines. Wrapped up by Stonington's number 50. That's going to be Jackson Hayes. No gain on the play. Going to bring up 2nd and 10. I like the movement of the Griswold's freshman quarterback there, Chase Spurley. Moving, he got himself back quick, recognized the fact that he had coverage downfield, and attempted to, scramble out of it. Not a big kid, but 14-year-old without fear going for it.
Pretty mature decision-making from a freshman quarterback.
Got to tuck the ball away, though, as soon as you make the decision not to, not to throw. But can't fault them for giving it a shot. I say you go right back at it again.
Do it. Why not? So Griswold going back. Off tackle bouncing to the outside.
You can see the swarming defense. I mean, Stonington, Palillo with the carry. They had 8, 9 kids. Even their seconds are out there now. 8 or 9 kids just swarming to the ball. And that's coaching. I mean, these kids they're playing football. And when you're getting 8, 9 kids in on the play, as a running back, you got nowhere to go.
You don't. And as a coach, you couldn't ask for anything better.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for swarms.
So here we go, 3rd down and 7, Griswold. 21 seconds left in the third quarter. We are at a running clock. Looks like there was a fumbled snap.
And your quarterback did not come out with it. Someone from Griswold did. White Hat just signaled 4th down with the raise of the fist, which means Griswold has possession. So it is 4th down and 7 from the 30-yard line.
Was that number 64, Aiden Daniluk, that came up with it? He was the last one to come up from the bottom of that scrum.
And that's going to end, John, the third quarter here at Griswold High School.
Right, with the running clock, that 12 minutes moves pretty quick. So at the end of the third quarter, your score, Stonington 47, Griswold 0. But going back to what you were saying before about schools and powerhouses, and if you want to go to Killingly, you can go to Killingly. Is it something of success breeds success?
Yeah, I will tell you that coaching comes into play up in Killingly, without a doubt. They've got a strong athletic base, but they have a good set of coaches up there, and one of the things that they do very well is they work hard in the off season, lifting, working out. It's almost like a cult. They're addicted to getting bigger, faster, stronger, and they work hard, and it pays off. And you can see the team, like in a passing league situation, Killingly wasn't always the greatest because their core, which is their line, is not there. Mm-hmm. Their running backs don't run the ball in passing league. They catch passes. As soon as you put the line and the backs on the field together, they become a completely different team. And their saying is RPO, which is run people over, which is true. That's what they do the best. They just get running backs and they run hard. You got some good coverage there coming down. Couple cuts.
Couple of cuts coming free. There's lots of green field in front of them.
Ryan Palillo running chase.
That is number 16, Will French, with the punt return touchdown for Stonington with just 35 seconds into the fourth quarter. Your score, Stonington 53, Griswold 0.
So,
well, you brought up something interesting about the offensive line not being there and that the look of your offense being completely different due to the personnel that you have and the skill sets that they possess. This is something that we've talked about last week. We've talked about it in this game. We talked about it in pregame. You have as a coach a certain idea of what offense you want to run as a coach. But based on the personnel that you have, and Griswold being a smaller school, and like we've talked about, there's a lot of Griswold youth football players that go into other programs, so that number of incoming players actually gets smaller.
Right. Can
you really stay with the offensive formations and ideas that you initially came in with?
So, I'm never one to question a head coach, and you're the head coach for a reason. And, you wear the wins, you wear the losses, you wear the tough times. You have a system that you're comfortable with that works for you. It's hard when you're on the sidelines, if you want to call it, and, coaching or criticizing what other coaches are doing. And I will tell you sometimes that there's things that go on you see from a coaching perspective that forces you to make certain decisions. And sometimes those decisions are not changing. Mm-hmm. You have to think about the safety and well-being, the development of your team, what's best for them for the long haul for the season. And, Coach Wilcox is confident that he's going to get his kids off the field in a safe way. Nobody's going to get hurt. And, he's going to make sure that, they're going to just learn football and keep trying. You got number 88 here coming around the outside of the carry, Jacob Hamill. I think he's going to be a wild card this season. I was watching the game from the other side of the field last week, and, he's AJ's brother, and him and AJ are polar opposites from a physical standpoint. From a young gentleman perspective, they're the same type of kids, but I think he's going to be a wild card this season alone, and he's only a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
And, he hasn't really played much football in his life. I don't think he even played
football. He has not played football.
So he's not afraid, and he was on our Legion team this summer for baseball. Great, polite kid. Didn't get a lot of playing time. Never complained. Was always into the team and the game and everything. So, I think you're looking at a future Wolverine brewing here, a contributor on both sides of the ball, truthfully, in Jacob Hamill.
Right, he's shown that already in 2 weeks. And I will say, the Hamill family, congratulations to their parents. There's 4 Hamill boys.
Yep.
And I have been fortunate enough to coach 2 of them in baseball, Jacob being one, and then even another younger brother, Micah Hamill.
Yep.
And just all of the Hamill boys, fantastic gentlemen, well-mannered, respectful, and like you said, between AJ and Jacob, they came out of different molds.
And I had last coached AJ when he was 12, and then this year being 17 in Legion. I mean, what a huge jump in maturity and perspective. Clearly that comes down to parenting. I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. And, good kids. And those are the kids that you want to build your program around. So, I mean, if Jacob's going to be here for the long term, that's a kid that you can center some things around. So, even just to finish my comment too about, the offensive theory. Listen, I mean, I grew up in a different offensive situation. I ran different offenses in youth, and even, coaching high school. And, you run, there you go. You deal with the cards, the cards that you were played with. And here we are here, nice little quick rollout pass by
Chase Spurley to number 86.
To Andrew Hardin. I think Dad saw that one finally. So
hey, put it on Max Preps. He's got 1 reception.
There you go. So, and it's also hard to install a new offense in a short period of time. You come into the season working double wing, thinking that's what you got. You're building out of it, but a lot of it does start with your quarterback too. And you have 2 14-year-old kids playing quarterback. It's tough. There's no doubt. It's hard to put something new in.
And Chase Burley, once again, rolling back out, decides to keep a tackle made by number 50, Jackson Hayes.
And he just got spun around. And I'll tell you that may not have been a vicious hit, but he got spun around and landed pretty hard. That kid got up off the ground. You could see visibly he was a little shaken up. Tough kid.
Right.
He knows there may not be another quarterback on the sidelines. But you know what? He's getting up. He's going back at it again. I'm not familiar with him, whether he played youth or not. But I will tell you, I like what I'm seeing out of these young freshmen. There's no doubt.
Because I believe he's one of our players that did come from Wheeler.
Okay.
Now, to kind of go back to what you were saying about the offenses and the coaches and the stuff, Coach Wilcox is not new to Griswold.
No, not at all. Not at all. He was a defensive coordinator for Coach Labossiere. I had the fortunate situation of coaching with Coach Wilcox, for the last 5 years. And I would be hard-pressed to find another person who is as smart on the defensive side of the football as him. He prepares his team well. He is a strategic coach when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I consider myself blessed to be able to have the late Bill Mignall as one of my mentors. And I'm not saying that Coach Miggs couldn't coach defense, but Coach Wilcox is phenomenal.
Oh,
we're liking that hit.
Hit number 88, Jacob Hamill doing it again.
Hamill. Got to get a little lower, and it looks a lot prettier. But he hit him up high, and you could hear it possibly up here in the booth. And Jacob felt that one for sure. Yeah, but I will tell you, for not playing football before, that kid, he doesn't know that he should be afraid or shouldn't be afraid.
Right.
And
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, he's going back out on the field for more. And I like. Listen, that something like that right there is what gets, as Will Ferrell said, right, in Blades of Glory, it gets the crowd going, right? That's for real. That's what we need to see,
Right. The
you
last
that
thing,
little soundbite, it gets the crowd going.
I tell you what, number 18, Alex Carson, the last thing that he saw was a big number 88. And then when you hear a pop up here in the press box, man, that's goosebumps. That's chills right there. That's football. Let's go.
Let's see if we can get everybody else to get on board with this. Listen, hey, we've got 5 minutes, 40 seconds left in this game. We still got energy up here in the Griswold Pride press box.
Stonington going about the middle, finding a hole, carrying some defenders with him, finally taken to the ground.
It's nice of Griswold Pride. We've got some nice comfortable recliners up here. in the air-conditioned booth down here at Griswold High School.
Hey, wait till the lobster rolls come out.
Yep, lobster rolls are coming out after the game. And I'm actually going to have a cold lobster roll myself.
And on that tackle was number 16, Jackson Fleming, number 18, Brendan Hopkins.
Nice ice-cold bottle of water.
I got my gallon right here. Where is it? Where'd my gallon go?
You seen his water bottle?
I did.
It's crazy.
No matter what this penalty is, it's going to be against Stonington. Absolutely. You could have had 11 Griswold kids jumping off sides there, and it's still going to be on Stonington. So what's on tap for next week for Griswold? What do we have, a bye week here coming up for Griswold High School? If I'm not mistaken.
No, it's New London, isn't it?
Is it New London, or is it a bye week and then New London?
It's a home game.
It is a home game.
There's Stonington beating there, but oh, Greenfield in front. Tried to push him out of bounds, did not work. Number 12, Ethan Mahoney, scoring a touchdown for the Stonington Bears. So we are starting to see some different names on the Stonington side as well.
So next week, with New London coming in, a good friend of mine, Johnny Burns, who used to be a coach in Norwich youth program, who has taken over the varsity program at New London High School, will be here. And it's a home game, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of the last few times that New London came here was when the 50-point rule in high school football in Connecticut came up.
I remember that.
It was a 92 or 91 to nothing game. And the next year they had the 50-point rule installed in Connecticut football in high school. Obviously, that is no longer in effect. They've put in some score-controlled measures with running clocks. But we'll see what happens. And, again, here's a good situation where the 2-point conversion is no good on a spiked ball.
Spiked ball.
I will give the coach some credit for that one to not attempt to put up any more points on the board. With a running clock, you're probably looking at a kickoff and maybe 2 or 3 plays. And if Griswold happens to fumble, obviously Stonington will take a knee at that point. But, taking a knee in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left, John, I mean, that's worse than running an offensive play and scoring. I hate to say it. I would never want anybody to take a knee on me in the beginning of the fourth quarter. And that's what was happening with that 50-point rule. Kids would have to slide at the 2-yard line, couldn't score.
Stop, right. You can't score because the coach would get suspended.
Get suspended. And it was a situation where you got to defend yourself. But one of the first coaches, I think the first coach to be suspended for that, was Jamal Davis from Norwich Free Academy, who was my big brother at the University of Connecticut back in the 90s. And, he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He's just an awesome human being. He would never do anything like that to run up the score. And it was just an unfortunate situation, but he had to sit out a game. And, he didn't complain about it. I mean, he understood the rule was the rule, but it's humiliating to have somebody take a knee third, fourth quarter. And kids want to score touchdowns, and you're telling kids to slide at before the goal line. It's just that's not the way that it should be.
And then I know if I was on the other side, if I was the defense, that would tear me up. That somebody took a knee, so I'd be like, play the game.
Yeah, and you know what? The word, and we do it this at the youth level too. Shut the scoreboard off. Run the clock. Shut the score off. It's 0-0. You already won. You know what the score is. It doesn't matter. Something along those lines. Just
let the kids play the game.
And here on the kickoffs, Coach Wilcox is probably telling these kids, listen, don't get in the wedge. Field the ball. Go down. Let's run a couple plays. Let's just let's get out of here. They're probably going to have time to maybe run one more play, and they may not even run a play.
Right. We're at 1 minute left in the ball game.
Yeah, the officials they're probably going to maybe get a play off. But you're going to see them set the ball at probably closer to the 30-second mark. I mean, we're looking at 46 seconds. They can wait to set it, and Griswold wouldn't even have to run a play. But they haven't even blown it good to play yet. You're going to see it maybe run one play, and I think that's going to be the game for the night.
Right, and if we do get that play in, we are 1st and 10 Griswold from their own 31-yard line. They're coming up to the ball, 24 seconds left on the clock.
I want to say one thing, too. We have callers coming in, dialing in, and people watching. And, we here at SNSN Radio, the people at Griswold High School, the kids, we appreciate you calling, dialing, listening to the game, supporting these kids, no matter what the outcome is. They're struggling as a team, but they're young. Please, I beg you, continue to support this program, because walking away from them is not what these kids need. They need support. They're going to struggle. They're going to have a rough year. But what makes it better is having the fans in the stands, having the support from family and friends. They'll never tell you as parents, they'll never tell you as friends that they like to see you here, but they do. I can tell you from my own son's perspective. I can tell you from my perspective, especially as a coach. You have bad years, but don't give up on this team. I'm going to tell you right now, do not give up on this team, because they're going to have downs and they're going to have ups. And you want to be here for both, because they need you.
Now look at that right there. Both teams were tipping the cap to each other, but now they're meeting in the middle field. There's some high fives, there's some hugs, some of the guy hugs, shoulder-to-shoulder hugs out there. And, just to kind of second what Ted said, don't give up on these kids, because they have not given up on you. They played till the final second of the game. Number 24, Jesse Costley, taking that to the left side of the field. They played till the final second ran out.
Yeah, so, John, and like us, we're not going to give up on them. I can tell you that. I know one person, Mike Minarski, and SNSN Radio is not going to give up on them. And neither are the people that are sponsoring these kids for these broadcasts to happen. So thank you, everyone, for your continued support. And, next week, another page in the chapter. So let's make some progress as the week goes on and get some guys back healthy. And we'll see what next week brings.
We will. And with that, we'll end tonight's ball game and tonight's broadcast from the Griswold Pride Broadcasting booth. I am Jon Hardin with Ted Koziol and Mike Neville on the camera. Thank everybody, and we'll see you next week.